listening to the Dr. No Show on WHIT Radio.org. Okay, it's the Dr. No Show, WHIT Radio.org, the Morning Buzz with Brandon Barris. It's May 15th, and here's Brandon.
Yeah, well, in today's headline news, British prosecutors said Tuesday they will charge Brooks with trying to obstruct a police investigation into phone hacking at newspapers owned by media mogul Rupert Murdoch. President Barack Obama said Monday that $2 billion trading loss suffered by J.P. Morgan Chase is why Wall Street reform is so important. A man set himself on fire Tuesday outside the court in Norway's capital Oslo, where Andres Breivik is on trial over terror attacks last summer that killed 77 people. While John Edwards' lawyers have not yet made a decision whether to put the former presidential candidate on the stand in his corruption trial, Edwards' oldest daughter, Kate, is expected to testify. And now on to what Mr. P is going to be talking about today. Greece races against time to form a government, and over 55 Americans jobless and why they are facing a tough hunt. And Mr. P, why don't we start with Greece?
Well, why don't we start with Norway? And Norway city is Oslo, okay? And now we'll go on to Greece, okay? Greece races against time to form a government. A lot of problems in the Eurozone, and Greece may be kicked out of the Eurozone. It looks like they need a new government again, and leaders from the far right have won seats in a May 6th poll. And Parliament convenes on Thursday, and if no government is in place, the new polls will have to be called, prolonging an agonizing crisis by another month of dismay of Greece's EU partners and the markets. President Carlos Papalias met Venizelos and heads of the conservative New Democracy and radical Democratic left, proposing Monday, in absence of any other solution, a government of distinguished and non-political figures. Now, the basis of this story is if they don't put together a coalition government, they're going to default on their bankruptcy. They're going to default on their loans, throwing the whole euro, all the euro countries in turmoil, and they may eventually be ousted from the eurozone. This ongoing debt. The Greek people are not warming up to this austerity measures that they're putting in place, and this can be not only chaotic for the eurozone and European countries, but the whole global economy. So we'll keep a look on that. If Greece leaves the euro, if its economic model collapses, there's no more banking system, that would cost about 50 billion euros net. Plus the assets that the bank and the insurers have on the books. So there can be little doubt about the seriousness of this situation, both for Greece, if it has to leave the Eurozone, and for its partners, who might lose billions in this disorderly withdrawal from the bloc. So big problems in Greece, big problems in Europe, and eventually for the global economy. Also, a story I want to talk about today is people who are out of work and they're over 55, and it's very tough for them to find a job. John Coyle 67 has a new kind of ministry. The former professor has just begun a career as a Presbyterian minister in Virginia when the economic downturn forced his church to let her go at 2007. After that, she found only temporary work. She relied on savings while job hunting, but at 64, she had to dip into her Social Security benefits. She officially retired in 2010. For spending money, she plans to start teaching a water aerobics class to earn $40 a week. Okay, this is a problem. Long-term unemployed workers age 55 have doubled since the recession in 2007. For these unemployed seniors, the chances of re-entering the workforce is grim. Experts worry that unemployed seniors face a long-term threat as the impact of lost wages compounds. About 55% of jobless seniors, or 1.1 million, have been unemployed for more than 6 months. Employers don't want to take a risk. They don't want to employ somebody, older person. They don't feel they have much growing room. There's no potential for them to, move up the company ladder. So there's kind of a bias. There's a real bias against people over 55. Hasn't really been reported, but I know a lot of people are over 55 that have been let go, and they're finding it hard to get another job that pays halfway decent that they can survive on. So this is another casualty of the economic downturn. Okay, so laid off workers over 55 face a very difficult challenge. That's my story on that. Okay, Brandon, what do we have?
All right, thanks, Mr. P. And today in history, in 1918, the first air mail route in the U.S. was established between New York and Washington, D.C., with a stop at Philadelphia. So the first air mail route was found, it was actually delivered in 1918. Today's birthdays, it is James Mason's birthday today.
He was a famous actor?
Yes, he was a famous actor. He played he actually starred in movies like Georgie Girl, A Star Is Born, Man Out. Right. So he starred in a couple of movies. He's not that big of an actor, but he did.
Well, very big actor, great British actor. He's I think he's rated in the top 50 actors of all time. So he's a major actor.
But not that many movies.
Oh, plenty of movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
One of the movies that I particularly like is called Odd Man Out. That was about the Irish IRA and their battle with the British government, and I think that was made in 1949, and that was an incredible movie. All right, so we're going to continue with our presidents of the United States, and Brandon has one of the most famous ones.
Yeah, Ulysses S. Grant. He was the 18th president of the United States in office from 1869 to 1877, following his dominant role in the second half of the Civil War. Under Grant, the Union Army defeated the Confederate military and effectively ended the war with the surrender of Robert E. Lee's army. As the president led the radical Republicans in their effort to eliminate all vestiges of the Confederate nationalism and slavery, he effectively destroyed the Ku Klux Klan in 1871. And Mr. P, the Ku Klux Klan were really scary back then. It was
very. It was scary all the time, but especially back then. They would go on as vigilantes. They would hang slaves, escaped slaves. Even they would go after Catholics and other minority groups at that time. They were a very dangerous group, and they still exist in some form today.
Yeah, there is. There's plenty of Ku Klux Klans, if not a group, plenty of people that were in it that are still alive today. Yeah. And I think if you had to compare a group or an army somewhat, you would probably compare them to what the Nazis did to the Jews back in about 1945, 1944.
Yeah, same mentality.
Yeah. What also Grant did was his reputation was marred by his repeated defense of corrupt, pointless, and the deep economic depression called the Panic of 1873, and that dominated his second term.
Yeah, he was easily reelected.
Right, very easily reelected.
Grant's tomb is in New York City. I don't know if you've ever visited it. I haven't, but I should. I think everybody should see it. Great general. Went in. Lincoln went through about 3 or 4 generals. Finally picked Grant, and Grant was a fantastic general. Ended the war, ended the Civil War. He was kind of a brutal general. I mean, he just went in full force and took it over. But so what's our random fact for today?
Yes, our random fact. Each year, 24,000 Americans are bitten by rats.
Oh, all right.
So 24,000 people have rat marks on them.
You know, there are more rats in New York City than people.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty scary. That's
A lot of rats out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of rats who are disguised as people, too. But
Yeah.
anyway, when we come back, we'll have the sports and a very special,
special
video
interview. Yep.
So we'll be back.
One voice. It can get the point across, but it only carries so far. Add a voice. It's richer, louder, but that has limits too. Add a third voice. It's even more powerful. Add another, and many, many more. And we are stronger than ever. That's the power of a community coalition. They help community groups, faith groups, civic organizations, PTAs, employers, and many others in your community organize their resources and focus them where they're needed most, like fighting to keep kids away from drugs. Ask a group that you belong to if they should belong to a community coalition. It's easy to get involved. Visit helpyourcommunity.org and they'll tell you exactly how your group can help. That's helpyourcommunity.org, because you get more when you get together. Brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy and the Ad Council.
All right, we're back. The Dr. No Show. We talked a little bit about Greece, the problems in Greece. We talked a little bit about the problems in, for 55-year-olds getting jobs if they're out of work. And we gave you some information about Ulysses S. Grant. We're going to talk about the Knicks. And we know the season has ended. But the Knicks are still in the news, and they really haven't decided on their coach yet, have they, Brandon?
No, they really haven't. I mean, if it was up to me, I think I would keep Mike Woodson just because of what he's done since Mike D'Antoni's left.
Right.
I mean, I know he didn't really go that deep in the playoffs, and I don't really think anybody expected them to go deep in the playoffs with all their injuries and, inconsistency. Mm-hmm. But I think Mike Woodson does deserve another chance to at least, coach next season or even half. Just give him a chance to have an off season under his belt and have him go into next season and see what he can produce for the Knicks. Because, obviously the Knicks have the talent for it. They have Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire, now with this rising star, Jeremy Lin. It's endless what they could do if they all play together and they all have a fantastic coach. And I think Mike Woodson would fit perfectly into that spot for what he brings to the table this past, a month and a half when Mike D'Antoni left.
Right. I think, I think that they should contact Phil Jackson just to see if he's interested. I mean, not that to say to hire him, but I would definitely go that route with him. Okay.
See,
all right. Yeah. Go ahead.
See, the only problem I think with that would be, if Mike Woodson were to hear that they were looking at other coaches and hear that, that he might not be the coach of next year, will he want to? Will he want to stay with, or would he want to just be like, you know what? Let me take my coaching ability somewhere else where somebody actually wants me to be a coach. So, he can easily get offended by that. He can easily say, what, I don't want to coach here.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would too. I mean, here, I did a good job, 18-6, won one game in the playoffs. I think I deserve. He wants a 4-year contract. I don't know if they're going to give it to him. They're offering 3. But Phil Jackson's out there. I think he just deserves a courtesy call. Hey, are you interested? And go from there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right, so we have this is the first time we're trying this. Brandon went out and interviewed Mr. Gonzalez about the Knicks, and here it is.
I'm glad you asked me that question. I'm a diehard Yankee fan since my dad used to take me to the games, and the tickets were 50 cents. We've always been spoiled as Yankee fans, having great teams, making the news for things that they were doing, winning games, winning World Series, players getting 3 home runs in a game, comebacks. This year's Yankee squad I believe we've reverted to having a situation like the Andy Pettit pitching on Mother's Day as possibly one of the highlights of the year, where we're hurting in starting pitching, where we're hurting in team hitting. The players are getting older. This may be a year where a lot of teams, where in the past the Yankees dominated, that can finally say, we're going to get some shots back at you, per se the Baltimore Orioles. The Yankees will struggle with the Baltimore Orioles this year, but you know, we can't be on top forever, and hopefully Pettit comes out on Mother's Day, does a great job, and in a couple of weeks we'll watch him on Yankee Classics, and we can watch it over and over again, because that might be the extent of our enjoyment this year.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
that was
was
Mr.
about Andy
Gonzalez, the
Pettit.
Yankees.
Right.
Of course, Pettit did not win.
Yeah, he went
He went
6 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned, 2 Ks, and 2
Yeah.
walks. I mean, if you're expecting an all-star outing from Andy Pettit on his first start back, you're not going to get it. I mean, you
Right.
could say how much of a great pitcher he is. You could say, oh, we want him to do this and that. But you know what? Let him get a few starts under his belt. Let him get used to the MLB game again, because there's new hitters. There's, there's so much new stuff going on in the MLB.
All right, let's
But-
get back to the Knicks. All
Yeah,
right?
let's go back to the Knicks.
Let's see if this should be about the Knicks.
Nah, the Knicks have a very, very, very little chance of beating the Miami Heat tonight. They're undermanned. Their guard situation is totally disrupted now. They're hoping Lynn can come in and give them 15 minutes. You know what? It's not for lack of trying, but they're just undermanned. Too many injuries. The shortened season has caused these athletes to have to endure more on their bodies, which is making them vulnerable to injury towards the end of the year. Noted with Rose from Chicago, Shumpert from the Knicks, Davis from the Knicks. They're just players dropping left and right due to the fact that this season, because of the lockout that they were part of and partly to blame for, a lot of these players are paying for it now with year-ending injuries, possibly career-ending injuries.
Okay, all right. So we're sorry about that. It was the first time we're doing it. But the Knicks, obviously this was done before the Knicks lost their final game. All right. So, by the way, Jeremy Lin will probably be signed again, but they're going to go after another point guard, I'm sure.
Right. I think, with Linsanity, when it first started, I mean, the whole crowd was crazy. Everybody was so excited. But then when everything came back down to earth, when it started, cooling off, and unfortunately Jeremy Lin got injured, he was out for the season. I'm pretty sure it's the right thing to do to go after a point guard. Are you going to trust Jeremy Lin to the keys of your offense when he's only played about a month and a half?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you really going to do that? So, I don't think Jeremy Lin should get offended that they're going to go out and get a point guard. I think it should be motivation for him to go out and win his job, just like he did with this whole insanity.
Okay, let's talk about the NBA last night. What happened?
Yeah, well, I'm going to give some of the scores that happened yesterday. This is round 2 of the NBA playoffs. Philadelphia beat Boston 82-81. The series is tied 1-1. The LA Lakers lost to OKC 119-90. The Thunder lead that series 1-0. And today's games, Indiana versus the Heat, game 2, 7 o'clock. Heat lead that series 1-0. And the first game between the LA Clippers and San Antonio Spurs at 9:30. So, Mr. P, now that we're getting closer and closer to the finals, now that the Knicks are out, who are you cheering for? Who do you want to win?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma City?
Yeah, the young team, they haven't won anything. I guess I'm rooting for Oklahoma. I can't seem to root for Boston or Philadelphia because they were such rivals of the Knicks, and I like to see Oklahoma win.
Yeah, a lot of the ESPN analysts say that the LA Lakers will have a hard time with OKC because they're so high powered. They have so many keys. I mean, it's if you really watch them, it's unbelievable how each player on the floor can get to the basket at will.
Right. They're athletic. They're
They are.
young. They want it. Who knows though? The Lakers. You can never rule them out. They always find a way to win, just like Boston. And now Miami, which looked kind of almost invincible, had an easy road. Chris Bosh now has an abdominal strain, and he may be out indefinitely. So that could change the odds of Miami, winning it all.
Right. Well, as Mr. P knows, I'm a big fan of Chris Paul,
Right.
and I will be cheering for the Clippers throughout this throughout this playoffs.
Right.
And I would like to see the Clippers and a team like Philadelphia or the Heat play against each other, because all the finals are kind of like always Boston and Lakers,
Yeah.
the Heat and the Celtics. It's kind of annoying in a way. I want to see something else. I want to see two different totally teams play against each other.
Different. There's some difference. Boston always seems to get in there, and they're well coached. They know how to win. They know how to win. I mean, they know how to pull out the close games, and that's one thing that they've always done throughout the years is they know how to play winning basketball. Philadelphia has a nice young team too. They're very athletic, and they don't really have any superstars that jump out at you, but they play well as a team, and they're athletic and they're young.
Right.
And so they have a good shot too. I think the weakest team, if I would say, would probably be Indiana. I don't see that team. They really don't have any superstars.
I think Indiana is really underestimated.
Yeah, I
mean,
think so.
they're a good team, but when we come back, we'll continue to talk about the NBA and give you the score from last night's game with the Rangers and the Devils. Keep it locked here on WHIT Radio.
Marissa! Let's go! You are not missing school again. All right then, hit it. I know you can hear this. Cut that noise, yo! I'm coming! Took you long enough.
Hey, whatever it takes, don't let your friends drop out. For more ways to help, go to OperationGraduation.com. A public service message from the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
All right, we're back. We're going to wrap this show up with the NHL hockey playoff news. And Brandon?
Yeah, well, the Rangers beat the Devils yesterday 3-0 in the first game of the semifinals, and this has to be the biggest series between the New York fans and the New Jersey fans. It's kind of like a Mets and Yankees thing,
So are the Rangers, are they favored?
I think they are favored, but I do think, from my point of view, if you're going to compare the two teams, I would actually pick the Devils to be favored because they did so well in the postseason. They won their series faster than the Rangers did, and they won it. I think it was easier for them. I think they, did better overall because the Rangers have so many close games and made it so.
They played that at Madison Square Garden?
What, yesterday's game?
Yeah.
Yes, they did play it at Madison Square Garden.
All right, so the Rangers played a great game. They won 3-1. Let's go on. The Mets won yesterday 3-1. Francisco again came in for relief. He almost blew it again, but he survived. And the Yankees won, right?
Yeah, the Yankees won 8-5.
So they both have 20 and 15 records.
Yep.
And Yanks play Baltimore tonight, and I guess the Mets play
Milwaukee.
Brewers again tonight, 7:10.
Right.
All right.
So that's our show today. That's our show for today. It's been a great day here on WHIT Radio. You're listening to the Morning Buzz here on WHITradio.org. Please keep it locked here every day of the week.